Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk all things hockey, interview players, and help new ones learn the game. If you want to learn something new about hockey, this is your show. Get ready, you're listening to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. Welcome to the podcast if you are brand new. And today we will be talking about opening day and the first games of the season. Now, before we get into it, please be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars, recommend it to a friend, share it out on social media, the works, and subscribe to this as well. All right, so opening day was last night for some teams, and also the night prior, and also you had the European games. I do want to talk about a few games. I did not get to watch all of them because I'm only one person, and I can't watch them all. Connor McDavid really surprised me with his opening day game, or opening night, if you want to call it. He got 4 points. 4. He got a hat trick with 3, and he got 1 assist. Unbelievable. I mean, I do think he's got a chance to win a scoring title this year, so I hope he keeps it up. Ovechkin and Oshie did not score. Backstrom didn't score any points at all. And what's interesting is that even good players on opening day just may not have it that night. I mean, even though exhibition was just about a week ago, it doesn't necessarily translate to the regular season. And not everyone's going to be on their A game. You will have those bad games. Gretzky certainly had his as well. But opening day is always a time for a fresh start, and it's okay if you don't get it the first time. If you are younger, if you're in Pee-wee, you're in high school, you are in college, you are doing travel, you're in middle school, you have an opening day game. You have your first game of the season. You don't know what's going to happen too. Like the Canucks were up 3-0 against the Oilers, right? So oddly enough, the Oilers come back and they score 5 points, 5 goals, and they win too. And McDavid had an empty netter to seal the hat trick and his 4th point. I do think that you have to take every game in stride. Even if you do great in your first game, it's not the end all be all. In beer league, in my first opening day game, I scored 2 goals, and we scored a total of 12 goals for the entire team too. And I didn't get that much ice time too, but still, that was a very important game for me in beer league. And then the next game I score again, and now I'm on a bit of a dry spell too, and I'm still playing well, and not everything can be measured in goals and assists and even hits too. I mean, just passing it and creating plays too can just make the difference, and just handling the puck right, and stick handling right, and just skating right, and just being there, and just keeping the game flowing could be enough of a difference too. I mean, we all have our roles, and opening day is just an example of getting prepared. It's just one game too. And it also measures just how the team is performing and just what they need to work on and where they need to be so they can get better. And that's what you should take too from this episode is that, find out what you're doing well, work on the things you need to improve upon, your shot, your skating, whatever it is. If you're a goalie, maybe work on your butterfly. But yeah. Um Now let's talk a little bit about uh the games is well. Um what I found interesting was from the uh Capitals game, excuse me, is is that they were home. This did not go into overtime. Usually Washington does well against Boston, and just Boston just had the upper hand. They just had the upper hand, and you had David Pasternak with a goal and 3 assists, David Krejci with a goal and 2 assists, and Bergeron even scored, and you don't and Taylor Hall too did well. Speaking of the Oilers, former Oiler Taylor Hall got a goal, and he's and he just had a good. They just had a good night, and the Capitals didn't. It could just be that simple. Um, and you can even have what seems to be a good day, and then it can all come crashing down, just like the Vancouver Canucks had with the when they were up 3 goals and then they just gave up 5 unanswered. I mean, I don't know um, how some things can actually turn out. I mean, life is a lot like that. You could be really good in high school and then you just don't have it in college too. And also, I mean, the game has changed a lot too. Let's not forget that. I mean, it was only 20 years ago when you still had stand-up goalies as well. Like I think you even had some of like about back in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but the butterfly became standard in the late 2000s, and you still had a few stand-up goalies, and there were some exceptions to this, but I do think that you know as the seasons go on, things will change. Teams will get better. Some teams will slip. They'll have their bad seasons, and you move on and you work through with what you can. Life is an infinite game. It is meant like it's an you have to find a way to keep playing and doing better. And I think hockey is the perfect game for this. It's the perfect exercise as well. If you're playing, and if you've never played hockey, I mean, I highly suggest you get in the beer league. That um, there was a guy who just got in about a few months ago to hockey and signs up for beer league, and he's doing pretty well for a guy who's only done this for a few months too. He's not a good skater, but he certainly can handle the puck all right uh, with his stick handling, and that's amazing too. And it is great social interaction. You talk, you work on your communication skills, and it's fun too. I mean, it's like playing basketball at the gym, except you're on skates and you have a stick and you wear full pads. I mean, now I do want to go back to opening day. You can't tell everything about a team on opening day. Um, I mean, whether it's hockey, baseball, or any other sport, you don't know how a team's going to turn out. I mean, um, in 2019, I'll go into a little bit of baseball. In 2019, the Washington Nationals, were like 19-38 or something, and they lost the first game and they struggled, and then they came back and won the World Series too, uh, as well. In 2018, the Capitals won against the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, two things were unlikely. One, the Capitals got past the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that was only because they did not have Marc-Andre Fleury. And the Golden Knights got there because they had Marc-Andre Fleury. But Marc-Andre Fleury was not in his, not with the team that he built around. He he was built around, he developed around, he was with new guys and on an expansion team and new rookies too. But they still won the first game as well. But then they lost the next four, and it was and then Ovechkin hoists his first Stanley Cup with 31 teams, which is odd. So opening day can have that sign. It can be the factor to if a team gets into the playoffs with maybe 2 points or they get that extra point and as well. And you also do have to take into account um you know the chance to be in the playoffs and the chance to lose it could be significant. And then at the end of the season, you do have to turn on I don't know. You have to turn on the Jets, and then if it's coming down to the wire, and then winning that, and then and then if you win your last game and the other team loses, you go to the playoffs, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So opening day. Um, if you're home, it can really benefit you. It puts that team in the right headspace, and just having your fan base root you on is the key difference. Um, and if I pull this up here, and I do think that's the reason what helped the Oilers win last night. If you're listening to this on Thursday, October 13th, I do think that is what helped them get that edge. And for the Capitals, even though they were playing at home, they just didn't have it too. But your fan base, can be that deciding factor of do you win this as well, and that's why teams also fight for home ice advantage, and why also winning the first game can be just as important as winning any other regular season game. I do think that you will, it's not the end all be all, but believe me, it certainly can help any team out. We still have some teams such as the Blackhawks and the Blues that still need to go play their first games, and just like with any other professional sports league, not everyone's going to play every day, and some teams are going to have less. For the teams that didn't play, they're ahead of the teams that lost in the standings. So you have that. Capitals are now in last place in the Eastern Eastern Conference, and it's just one game too. But guess what? You still have another 81 games. That's half a baseball season that you can make a difference with. Now, typically, most teams will win like 35 games in a season, and then you have to figure out the other 67 games, and most teams will probably win about 38, 37 games overall as well. And but determining but finishing about a 500 season is always, it's about that pace too. Most teams do finish around 500. Um, Even if you're going to count the OT losses as well, that certainly plays a factor into the points. And now back in the olden days, some opening days did end in ties. So if the game was tied after OT, or it was tied after I'm sorry, third period. There was no OT. They just each got a point too. So I am glad that the WHA did implement that, and with their opening season, having that OT and that overtime certainly did benefit teams, and it certainly helped some teams get a Stanley Cup and just get those extra points as well. The game has changed a lot. Opening day can always mark the start of a new era for a player, the organization, or the start of something new for an up and coming team. Now, in your life, opening day should be every day for you, because you know every new day can be a start, a fresh start, and you don't know what could come on that day. You could have a really good day, you could have a really bad day, but you have to appreciate the days as they come. So, a little bit of life advice there to go out. This is I'll end the normal segment here. If you want to get the bonus episode, you can subscribe to my Substack. That is $5 a month, and you get access to all the bonus episodes, not just this one. And you get access to some written articles and videos as well. So, with that being said, stay safe, stay great. I'll talk to you all in the next episode.